We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. This is the May meeting of the Tipp City Board of Education. And as always, we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
And leading us tonight is Penelope Bathgate.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Penelope.
Thank you for coming.
Welcome.
Okay, Dave, we're ready for attendance.
Mr. Ventures.
Here.
Mrs. Heatherly.
Here.
Mrs. Stahl.
Here.
Mrs. Dunaway.
Here.
Mr. Spano.
Present.
All present and accounted for, sir. We have a quorum this evening.
Thank you very much. We'll move on to the superintendent and assistant superintendent's reports.
All right, well, I'll start off just by kind of highlighting some recent events that's been going on at our high school and across the district. We've had Senior Awards Top Scholar, Excellence in Education, the Senior Tea, our Father-Son Lunch, prom and after prom, and also our service project that's coming up for our graduating seniors here on the 23rd. I want to thank our Parents Who Care, which did a tremendous job of providing after prom at Scene 75, and our students had a great time. Our students were well behaved, and we had a lovely evening. They were beautiful, all dressed up for the occasion, and so the prom was a great weekend, and the weather cooperated, so that was great too. So that's what we have going on. These are our present things for our seniors and those that are upcoming. Our next item really is the Hope Squad, and that's about student mental health, and we're just going to have kind of a brief highlight. I have Mrs. Ann Tui here this evening, as well as Mrs. Christine Schmidt that should be coming momentarily, Mr. Beerhoff as well. So would you like for me to go on to personnel and just give Mrs. Schmidt a couple more minutes?
Yeah, why don't we do that?
Okay, that'd be good. Personnel, I have a little bit later in our agenda, we're going to be having a number of our coaching staff and advisors that's going to be recommended for approval, and several of them here tonight. And I'm going to ask each of them to stand up and say their name and what role they're going to be serving in. Just begin.
Sure. My name is Jennifer Stefano. I'm a 2000 graduate from Tipp City. I'm 37 years old, and I am excited to be here. I am going to be one of the middle school head cheerleading coaches.
Thank you.
My name is Hunter Folkertsma. Went to Bowling Green State University, played football there. I'll be the offensive line coach this year for the football team, and just excited to get out there and get to work.
Charlie Verbacher. I did this back in 1989, and I'm back for a second round.
Thank you all for coming, and we'll have a recommendation a little bit later in the meeting, but you may be excused at this time. Appreciate you giving part of your evening for us.
Yes. Have a good night.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's great seeing all of you.
Yes.
How are you?
While we're under personnel, I would like to just highlight that a little bit later in the meeting as well, you will see a recommendation for an appointment for Mr. Galen Leonard to be the Democratic principal. Mr. Galen came to me with interest in the position as it became open, and as we all know, he does light up when he's around students. So he has 18 of his 20 years of experiences in the buildings as a principal, and he seems to be quite excited about the opportunity to return. And Mr. Galen, anything you would like to add?
Well, I am really excited. You go through life and you find out your passion, and being with kids is definitely my passion. And I feel myself light up when I'm around kids, and I'm excited to be back in the building. My brain's going 100 miles an hour to try and finish up what I'm doing here, but also what I'm going to do when I'm back in the building, because I do love that, and I love being with kids. So I'm excited. Thank you for the opportunity. It's pending board approval, so
Yes,
I'll get excited when it comes up. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, timing is perfect. We have Mrs. Schmidt with us and Mrs. Santui as well as Mr. Beerhoff. So we're going to take some time now and just hear a brief highlight on Hope Squad.
So earlier this month, at the work session, we presented a program, a comprehensive program we felt to address some of the mental health needs in our buildings. Back in November, Mrs. Tui and Mrs. Schmidt presented to the board the growing need that we were seeing at the high school, the middle school, and they relayed the information that they were getting from the counselors at the other buildings. And so tonight, what we wanted to focus on was more with the Hope Squad, which is the peer prevention, suicide prevention program that we talked about in that program earlier this month. So I'm going to turn things over to Mrs. Schmidt to talk a little bit more about this.
So the biggest thing about Hope Squad, obviously it's a peer program to prevent suicide, but it's also about positive school culture and talking about mental health and wellness. A lot of the schools that are using the program have talked about, like, for example, May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and how they've done different initiatives to kind of build that within their school. So it's not just the curriculum that they're learning, but it's also a lot of other activities that they're doing throughout the school. The biggest thing is that our contract must be signed by the end of May, and if it's one that we pass on, it will go to another school district. They only take so many schools per year because they want to have a quality program, and they want to make sure that they only bring on so many schools in a year. One of their qualifications is you must have a mental health agency to run the program, because they understand that there's going to have that need for support. Luckily, that's something that we have already worked on and have a partnership in the works. The biggest news is we just found out today that actually NBC Nightly News with Lester Holt is actually doing a special on the Hope Squad. And they are going to be in Mason, Ohio, talking about it and talking with kids. So it is getting national recognition and attention, and this is something that we could bring to Tipp. We would be one of the first schools in Miami County to have it.
So at the work session earlier this month, the question was asked, what is the need in our buildings? And so we went back and looked at logs from this year. We looked at a student mental health survey that we administered earlier in the year. And what we found is that at the middle school level, we're seeing 10 students this year who have had ideations of suicide. 2 of those are repeat situations from last year. At the high school, we've had 13 students who have experienced these types of thoughts or have had ideations of suicide. This is just, again, from this year. If you look at the 10-year trend in the state of Ohio, you'll see that suicide is on the rise in Ohio, unfortunately, and nationwide, especially among the demographics of 8 to 17 and 18 to 25. So our concern is, or our push, I guess, is we want to be proactive rather than reactive. We have some examples in the surrounding area of schools that are being reactive and are adding Hope Squad after the fact. We want to have Hope Squad in place so that we can try and be preventative and be proactive in this situation.
So this was, at the beginning of the year, we conducted a survey about mental health and kind of just the need for a mental health agency. But I thought these were pretty relevant questions to share the information. I did share the data from that survey back in October when we were here, but I think these students are really powerful as to why Hope Squad would be helpful. The question was, if a peer friend or myself had a serious mental health concern, I would most likely tell 40% said a friend, and 42 said a parent, and then the other percentages were made up with teacher, counselor. So I just thought that was pretty powerful, that pretty much parent and student are equal as far as who would a student tell if they had an issue. Question, I know someone at my school that has a mental health concern or illness. It doesn't necessarily mean suicidal ideations, but it does mean something with anxiety, depression, and 92% of students said yes, they know someone. The last question, I think I just left open-ended as far as how do you feel about mental health in our district? And this is a quote from a student. Mental illnesses are growing larger and larger each year among adolescents, and the school, in my opinion, shows no concern. Our school administrators clearly do not know the signs or effects of mental illness because so many students here are suffering silently. The staff at this school and all schools in the district need to be aware and concerned about the illness challenging their students. If we continue down this path we are on, it is very likely that someone will die. A 15-year-old in Tipp City less than a month ago committed suicide. Nobody in the community seems to care. The school environment is awful, and it falls on all of us. And I just thought that was really powerful because it's falling on our kids already. I think that was a concern as far as, this would be empowering and educating our students, and this is how they feel. This was not the only quote like this. A lot of students were writing that they think that we are unaware and that we don't care. And I personally don't want kids to think that, especially of our school counseling department.
So to look at what implementation would look like if we are able to get this contract in place by the end of May. In August, we would start to see some training for staff. What we've talked about within the high school would be the Hope Squad trainers coming to our staff retreat in the opening days leading up to the start of the school year. Within that staff retreat, we would start to identify some people who would end up being those advisors. We have some people already in mind as far as what would fit within their schedules and who would be good fits for this program that we feel students would feel comfortable and have that rapport with, that they could talk to and learn about some of these issues with them. From there, we would partner with Hope Squad, and Hope Squad would come in and talk with our students about this program. And during the course that, they would show them a video that describes Hope Squad, that talks about the need for Hope Squad, and then students would be asked to nominate one or two of their peers. And this is not necessarily the most popular kid in class, but the one or two kids in your class that you feel like you could go talk to and tell them something, that you could confide in them with something. And from that group of lists, from that group of names, we would compile a list, and those would be the nominations that we would be looking at for participating as the Hope Squad within the building, that peer group that would be trained to address this concern in our building. Students do not have to participate. They can choose not to be one of those advisors. There's a parent program that would inform parents about what this is about. There would actually be a parent program for all the parents at the high school, and then specifically for those students that would be nominated. And parents could then choose, this really isn't a good fit for my kid, or yes, I do think this would be a good fit for my kid and something that they're passionate about and would be able to handle. So you can see the parent orientation there, and then our plan would be to roll this out in January of 2020. It would be a class built within the master schedule. It would be an elective credit based on pass-fail. That way we aren't having to worry about conflicts after school or before school. We build this within the school day, and that way we're able to address those concerns and that curriculum within the school day.
So just kind of what are the main points of this program, the main fundamentals. We've obviously talked about so that kids know the warning signs for students, and again, this is something that they don't just use this within our building. This is something they can use in the community. This is something they could use, among their family, when they go off to college, roommates, workplace, things of that nature. Becoming a peer advocate, being able to help a person that may be exposing those signs and they're not really sure how to help themselves. Become confident in talking about suicidal thoughts to a peer who may be struggling and understand the importance of referring that peer to an adult. And this may come up a little bit later in the presentation, but students are going to other students because when you go to an adult, it's almost too real for them. So when they go to a peer, they go to a friend, they're reaching out to them, but right now those kids are not sure how to help their peers. This would help them do that. And it also talks about self-care. We understand that these students would be taking on something else, but this would be able to help them understand boundaries and then how to practice self-care to be mentally healthy as well.
So just some final thoughts on this. This is a research-based program. It's a nationwide program. It started in Provo, Utah, as we shared at the work session. Dr. Jennifer Wright-Berryman is a suicidologist with the University of Cincinnati. She works in the School of Social Work, and she is the lead researcher with the Grantless Hope nonprofit organization that's really pushing Hope Squad throughout southwestern Ohio. We shared with the board in the Friday board update, some data showing the results in Provo, Utah. So there is research and there's data to back up what Hope Squad is able to do when it's implemented in a school. A list of schools that are in this area that are of the same size or same socioeconomics as Tipp City that are already implementing Hope Squad. We also are not asking for any funding from the district level. We feel we can build this all within our building budget. We also have talked with the Tri-County Board of Mental Health about possible grants through them. They are very interested in bringing Hope Squad to this area. And I guess the last couple things that we would leave you with is that no community is immune to this crisis, this mental health crisis that's going on in our state and nationwide. So there's a quote here from the Dayton Daily News article that we shared with you earlier in May. And then the last thought that we wanted to leave you with is that we've talked with New Creations about this program. Becky Gruber will be working with us. She has experience working with peer intervention and suicide programs. So she feels very confident about this program. We feel very good about that relationship with New Creation. So we feel like we've got a good partner that can help us along the way as we implement this.
Well, I want to thank them for the additional information. I appreciate you bringing forth the additional research that's in this area. It is exciting to see that even on the national level with NBC that they're highlighting this as a particular means or strategy to help our youth as well. And I think that we are very fortunate to have this as close as a specialist in the Cincinnati area that reaches out and lets us know that they're available. My understanding is that you're invited to be part of Hope Squad.
Correct.
And so that in itself is very encouraging for our district. I know it's in some ways a big step for us, but I think that there's several things that are bigger steps that we're trying to take in relationship to the mental health piece. And I know that certainly now that we, later in this meeting, are hopefully moving forward with having an agency with a therapist on board, that it's very encouraging to see that New Creations, which is the name that we'll be bringing forward, has interest and experience in actually provide us information about how they could see themselves working with the Hope Squad. I think the other piece that I just would want to underscore is that we love our community and we love so many things about it, but it is true that we are not immune to all these difficult things that are just part of our culture today and the pressures that's on our youth. So I like the idea of being proactive. I also like the idea of our students being able to opt out, that it is their choice and that the parents work with them as far as attending some of the initial sessions to learn about it so that they, in a sense, have an understanding of what they're committing to for their own training. Any questions that you have for the team?
Well, I have a question. You said you're going to pick 2 to 3 advisors. So, you know this very well because you do a really good job in your building. A lot of times what we think and want isn't what the students think and want. So I guess this is a fine line if I don't want to be a micromanager because I trust you because you do a good job. What if we pick 2 or 3 advisors and the kids are, you know what I'm saying?
So what Hope Squad has suggested in some buildings is for students when they nominate those 1 to 2 kids
Yeah,
to also nominate a staff member.
that's where I was going, yeah,
So
Because that
that's
would be-
something we've talked about.
okay, because that'd be terrible.
Yes, right,
We'd be wasting all this time, all this money, all
Right.
this 4 years worth of hard work
correct.
to,
So, you
Okay,
guys, a
so-
lot of you may know, like, my heart's invested, in Mason. That's where I was for 10 years of my education career, and that's where they're interviewing tonight. Lester Holt went there about a month and a half ago and interviewed a lot of my colleagues that I still keep in touch with. And when I was working at Mason in the high school, it was a suicide a year, every single year. For all 10 years I was there were 2 actually in 1 year. In the past 2 years, they've had none since they implemented Hope Squad. And I truly believe that, at the high school level, this is so important, and it is at the middle school level as well. I mean, and that's where I eventually like it to see, but it has to start, there first. So that's kind of where I think all 3 of us are pretty passionate about that, and I just wanted to slip that in, that's, where I came from, and it's very successful there, and they're doing those same things.
and how many kids per graduating class in Mason? Aren't they quite a bit bigger than us?
871.
Right,
Yeah.
so
Per
my,
class?
yeah,
Yeah,
per
that was
graduating
this
class,
year's,
yeah,
yeah.
they're quadruple us.
Yeah.
You know I'm a huge supporter of mental wellness. I've been championing this cause for 4 years. It's one of the main reasons I ran for school board. I am so passionate about this that it's even hard to talk about without getting emotional, you know that. My concern is in that article that you sent us, the 35-page document, which I read. One of the things that I worry about kids is the psychological fatigue, because I feel like, as Dr. Kump said, our kids it's different than when we all grew up. The social media, there's so much more pressure into getting into college, and just everything seems to be magnified. What I don't want is, let's just say, all these kids nominate Bob Smith because he's trustworthy, he's a good kid, he's blah, blah, blah. And all of a sudden, Bob Smith I can't deal with this, I can't deal with all these kind of adult issues. That's my concern. I don't want these Hope Squad kids to be
Burnout.
I just feel like it's adult issues. I worry about the FERPA, because, let's be honest, adults have a hard time keeping their mouths shut. We're asking kids to not, I feel like it's a lot to put on a kid. And I'm happy that we're voting on the mental wellness piece tonight. I'm just not, I don't know about the Hope Squad. I have a lot of concerns.
Have there been reports from other schools or, on the negative side like that? Have you heard that there's been problems with privacy, breaches of confidentiality or anything like that?
And that was some information that we shared with Dr. Kump from Keith Klein, from the Grants Hope nonprofit organization that's really kind of spearheading this in Southwest Ohio. And he addressed some of those concerns in that email.
Why does that name sound, did we get that email?
You should-
Okay, I was gonna say, I remember that name, Keith Klein.
Yeah.
You read a lot of
It's in
stuff.
Fighting Board update.
That's where I read it, okay. I'm not, you know what I'm saying? I just feel like, I worry about that, because we're not Cincinnati. Obviously, it happened in our own community. I fully understand that. I think maybe, baby steps, or, you eat an elephant, a bite at a time. The mental wellness piece, I'm hoping that kids feel confident going to those people. I don't know if we need the Hope Squad, maybe that could be an add-on there. What if we only get 1 or 2 kids per grade, because these other schools are so much bigger than us, they have 8 or 10. So if you've got 1 or 2 kids for 200 kid graduating class, that's a lot to put on one child. Because we don't know how this is gonna go. We've never had a mental wellness person here. This is all new.
So I guess one of the things I would point out is that there are several schools that are our size, same socioeconomics, that are going through this. Talawanda is one of those.
Okay,
Talawanda had 20 kids that were part of the Hope Squad initially,
okay,
and they rolled it out this year.
all right.
And so, it can be done in a school our size, and I guess what I guess we need to point out is that it's not just for big school districts. It's not just for
Absolutely.
big schools. That smaller schools have these needs too.
Sure,
And I totally understand your need, or your concern, and the need to make sure that we're monitoring those students and their well-being. And that's part of this program. When Mrs. Schmidt talked about self-care,
absolutely.
that's part of that.
And I guess, just to piggyback, is that
mental wealth and health and wellness is a big, broad issue, and this is one facet of it, and extremely painful, and an ending that we don't want to have. But I think there's a lot of other things going on with kids, and this just seems to address a very specific part of it. Is we want to avoid any teen suicides. That's a very specific point. And I think what our children are going through is a much broader issue. This disconnect. I've read a lot of research about students' use of cell phones and social media and how that's creating a disconnect socially with other people. And I didn't know that our middle school allows kids to get on their cell phones during the day. There needs to be a safe space for kids to say, you know what, cell phones aren't even an option. You don't even have an opportunity to get on there and experience those negative effects in an unstructured environment. We have to create safe spaces, and that's one element of mental health that we can be addressing right now that doesn't require kids to go through training, doesn't require all this other stuff of just saying, when you're here, you're with us, and you don't have to worry about social media, you don't have to worry about
There are
cell
boundaries
phone.
at the middle school. It's not a free-for-all.
No, I'm not saying it's a free-for-all, by any means. But what I'm saying is, if we could structure, just let kids know when you come here, cell phones and that influence, you don't even have to worry about it. You can leave that in your locker till the end of the day after sports when you're calling mom to pick you up. I'm just saying that it just seems a very specific thing that we're targeting with mental health and wellness, and that's preventing suicide, which is a big issue. But I think there's a lot of other issues that we could also address as well.
That would be climate and culture, basically. Because
Right.
the climate and culture leads to mental wellness. And-
Right.
Yeah.
Which is a piece of Hope Squad. I mean, they do a lot of different things to promote, let's talk about physical, in my mind, I think about it as kind of what Carrie Prawl and Becky Jones do for our staff, as well as let's do some physical and mental health wellness activities throughout the year. Hope Squad would be doing those as well, since they're a class that think every day they would be thinking about school-wide initiatives to boost wellness. I think we're focusing on, yes, it's a peer suicide prevention program, but they are going to learn about anxiety and how do you help a friend going through anxiety. It's not just going to be how do you deal with someone who comes to you that's going to kill,
Right.
It's going to be that whole piece. And I think, I relate it to social media. Our kids are going to use social media. I'm scared for when my kids are in high school as to what that even is going to look like.
Yeah.
But I can't pretend that they're never going to use it.
Right.
And so I have to educate them and empower them of how to use it.
Right.
So that's how I feel about Hope Squad. I kind of see it as, I know that people are coming to their peers, like the kid you're talking about that's always overwhelmed. They probably, regardless if they get nominated for this program or not, people are going to those people and they don't have the tools to deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully at home they have a supportive parent,
Right.
and then they go to them, and then that's how it gets referred. But sometimes the kids that have come to my office don't have the supportive parents. They're just a really good kid
Sure.
that doesn't know what to do.
Absolutely.
So that's, I guess, where my passion kind of comes from with this, is because I think it would do, and it's not going to just prevent the suicide, it's going to promote a more positive school culture and showing our kids that we care about them being mentally, physically safe and healthy. So.
And there's a way that they're going to communicate that to all the students, not just the ones that are Hope Squad members.
Yeah, because we would be doing events, I'm hoping that I would get to be one of the advisors because of everything that I've put into this. But that would be something that we would certainly be doing, as far as, okay, how can we have school-wide events? How can we do things through advisory? How can we do things to really promote that piece? So it wouldn't just be those kids in that class that are getting information, but how do we disseminate that information throughout our building? Even to staff members. Like I said, I think that's so important what we do at a district level with the physical and mental health piece.
I think the research suggests that they're going to probably go to a friend, and so giving kids the tools to be able to know what to do when that information comes to them, I think would be not only proactive, but I also sort of liken this to Rachel's challenge. It's about creating an inclusive and accepting culture So hopefully the preventative aspect is any sort of acting out, whether that means harming themselves or someone else. But the idea is how do we promote a culture within our schools that people feel accepted and heard.
And they do spend about this first semester, in a sense, training and getting the program queued up. So basically, if the leaders felt that we were not ready, we would not move forward second semester. They would let us know that, wouldn't they?
Correct.
I mean, we already did the readiness assessment. They wouldn't even offered us the contract if they didn't feel like, as a district, we weren't prepared.
So I had some concerns about this whole program, bringing mental health and wellness into the district, just from the standpoint, I don't feel like our staff was educated enough, had the professional knowledge of how to handle these things. We're going through bringing professionals in my opinion. That's what some of this is all about, is bringing those professionals in and getting our staff ready, helping our students get prepared for that. And that is making me much more comfortable with moving forward with this kind of program. They've done all the research, they know what's gonna work, what doesn't work, how to roll out these kind of programs. So I'm getting more and more comfortable moving forward with something like this, so.
Would you guys need more days than what we have already on the calendar? I mean, I'm just thinking about training all your staff. How many professional days do we have before?
We have 3 before the start of the school year.
And is that enough to get everybody, or do we need, because I mean, maybe that's a different question, but I don't know if we have enough ongoing professional days during the school year, rather than asking people to stay late on Monday or Wednesday or whatever.
Coming over the summer. or
Yeah,
something.
yeah, you know, like an early.
Well, would it be
release.
a stipend?
Well, when you
That's
ask them to
because
come
we send
afterwards.
everything else, but if Tuesday-
But I'm just saying, like, creating time during
Yeah,
the day when they're already there. If
we're
we're
gonna have
gonna
that
do this
period.
right, we might as well.
well, we are gonna have that period built in, so that would be helpful.
Yeah, but you're not gonna be able to train.
No,
the teachers.
not free, no, not free.
So one of the things that we do at the high school quite a bit is we use our staff meetings as mini
As
PD.
mini PDs.
Yeah, it's not something that if I can send it to you in an email, it's
Mhm.
probably not gonna be talked about in the staff meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And so we do a lot of professional development within our staff meetings. Some of the high school teachers may love that, and some
Mhm. Right.
probably want
Not
to
so
get out of there as
much.
fast as they can. But we do a lot with we've done a lot this year with rigor and depth and complexity with content. So I see this would be the theme
Mhm.
next year, is an ongoing theme. We kick that off in our staff retreat
Mhm.
at the start of the school year, and then we're building on that throughout first semester and into the second half of the school year when we're rolling this out.
You all were here in December, you showed us information that you had asked staff, and they all, I remember the comment was, we recognize that there are kids that are struggling, and we don't have the expertise or the tools or to know what to do. Please address this, and so, to me, this is a response to that, and you're doing other initiatives as well, this isn't the only one to address mental wellness.
And I know we've talked as the 6 of us counselors, I think I reached out to Mr. G to see if next year, if we could do some kind of presentation as counselors, not just so much about, mental health would be a piece, but other things that we feel like look to the highest priority in our buildings, and how can we help you, and what other trainings do you need, and this is what we're seeing, this is how we're addressing it. And obviously this would be a big piece to that, so that would be something we would like to do as a team as well, so.
I'll go back just to the aspect of being proactive. I think it's very, very important, and I also think that we know that it's like so many things as we look from the students. If we can reach just one and make a difference, it's worth it.
Well, thank you.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
I think with that, I want to move on to facilities update. Just kind of recapping, as a board and as a community, we're aware that our bond issue, and recently that was on vote there in May, early part of May, did fall short by 200 votes. But at this time, we're resilient, we're regrouping, and we actually have a meeting that is now set with OFCC that's scheduled for June 3rd. We'll be traveling to Columbus for that. We'll be meeting with them, and I know that Mr. Spano and Mrs. Dunaway are two board representatives that will be part of that day and meeting. We'll definitely work toward getting clarification about the storm shelter requirement and also discuss our ELP, our Expedited Local Partnership Program Plan. So that will be important information as we move forward. We also have been informed that our traffic study is ready to be shared with us as a board, and so I'm looking for us to hopefully find a date. Maybe if people could look at calendars so that I could float a couple dates out to them coming up here, and I'm wondering if we could make that as a single focus workstation and meeting at the same, just a workstation time frame. And I would like to invite our core team just to be guests to come that evening so that the facility core team could hear the information straight from the same presenters as well in case they had questions.
Well, just to be specific, is it the actual traffic study that Kleiningers did the end of January, or is it the two options that they brought to us? There's a difference, because we've never seen the actual traffic study.
Yeah, I do think it's the whole piece.
From that they did in end of January?
And
Okay.
then when they regrouped and looked at it, from
Okay.
the input that we provided.
Could they email that to us, because we've never seen that information? Could they email us ahead of time?
I could definitely ask. I don't know, because there's different ratings and things, I think that they like to be able to provide that information as they're sharing, but I absolutely can ask them.
Because it would be a lot of information to take in at a meeting, trying to listen and do all those other options. It's just,
Okay, so you're looking for dates in, what kind of time frame are you thinking?
You see the work session date?
We do not have a work session until August, so we need to look for potentially a June one, I would hope.
Do we all need to be there, or can the core team meet?
Well, you can do a core team, but part of it is that they would do a board presentation, and I do think it would be nice if the board was informed, but that's just me.
Okay.
So when you say a single focus, I mean, as far as
I'm
work
just saying,
session,
it can be about facilities and about traffic plan,
Okay.
but that we don't have other agenda items that may very well be important, but that we would save those for our June meeting.
because we're gonna need some type of work session to talk about whether we're going in August, or I mean, in November, before August. What's our date that we've gotta be to the,
August 7th.
August?
7th, yeah, somewhere in there.
So,
90 days before the vote.
So we're gonna need to be talking a little bit about facilities in a work session overall before that time frame.
So that kind of leads the question, and once we find a date, whether we would have that discussion, the November discussion on that given day as well. I mean, it all falls under facilities for
I
sure.
mean, that's my point, because when you said single focus, I was worried, we're gonna talk about traffic, so I think we're gonna need to talk about facilities overall a little bit.
August 7th.
So,
So your OFCC meeting in Columbus is
Monday, June 3rd.
June 3rd.
So we need to meet after that.
I think.
Mhm. Yes, because that's going to be important information as well, that
Right.
would be a good discussion point.
The 4th or the 11th. I can meet the 4th or the 11th.
I can't do the 4th.
How about the
I can't do
11th?
next week, I'd have to be the following week.
I can't do the 11th.
I can do the 12th.
The 12th?
Yes.
I can't do the 13th, 14th, 15th, or 16th.
Does the 12th sound good for everybody?
That'd be fine with me.
That work for everybody?
Or would you say the 12th?
The 12th?
6 o'clock?
Whatever day we pick, I'll make.
6 o'clock, Andy? It's always 6
Oh,
o'clock.
Yeah, I
right,
think-
and just like, or we can do daytime, I mean, they will come in the daytime, I just don't know how that works
But
with
Sam
people's
I better-
works,
yeah,
Sam
I
works,
better
Andy
not.
works.
I shouldn't even look.
Right.
Okay, yeah, okay, so we will do 6 PM on the 12th is what we'll look at?
Yep.
All right, do we, I'm just going to shoot for that, and then I will let them know first thing tomorrow morning. If there's something else that, for one reason or another, that's the one date that they can't, I will let you all know right away. And I'll probably do that through Carrie, because she'll start compiling other dates that might be available.
Perfect.
Okay.
Great. Thank you very much. And I did want to just mention that later in our meeting, we also have a request for the consideration of beginning to gather information for a survey that we had talked about earlier, that if we were not successful in the ballot, that we would implement a research survey that would really get community feedback, and wanted to begin really stepping out there and begin looking at agencies that might be able to do that for us. So I think that, that is all about facilities and our next steps. All right, with that, we'll move on to science curriculum.
Well, if you haven't had a chance to, the materials are out in the front. I'm really excited about, first of all, let me thank my team. I've got one here, Mr. Hoffman's here, but my crew, they presented back in March, and then we skipped April and kind of highlighted the things we've done. We really vetted a lot of different groups. Really excited. I think the high school didn't change a lot of things. We looked at more probably how we approach teaching science at the high school level and talked about implementing more STEM, but careful we don't just jump over that without a lot of PD to know how to do it, because it's hard to do it correctly. Really excited about the K-3, which we're implementing studies weekly, which the whole state of California is adopting. They adopt by state, by the way, when they adopt curriculum. The whole state does the same thing. Because one of the things as we look at literacy is our vocabulary, and we have some holes in vocabulary in science as well. We feel like we can shore that up starting really at the young ages where they hear the same vocabulary and it becomes more common for them. And so that's what we're doing K through 5, as well as the mystery science, which is a relatively inexpensive way to have a lot of hands-on. It's really innovative in the videos that they see, and that gives them a hands-on experiment if they want to go that direction. 4th and 5th grade, 4th through 8th is fusion. We aligned them all. There are only 2 state-aligned, Ohio-aligned curriculums, and Pearson and Fusion were the only 2, and we chose the fusion, and did a lot of things. With our reality goggles, they have that built into their curriculum. That was kind of a big selling point for them. And then in the high school, we also went for the things that they can get as far as the supplementals, and those are all listed on your sheet that you got. And Dave gave me a budget. I stayed a good portion below that. One of the things, our goal is that we don't hit that whole budget, because the way we're doing it now, we have some latitude because it's general funds. That way, if we have kids that move in, we can get the extra textbooks if we need them. We're not locked in. Or if 3 years down the road we find something we need, we can work through that process. And appreciate Dave's always willing to help me get through that.
Amen. I just throw out a number, the board approves it.
He helps me with getting it in the right place, and I appreciate his help in that. So we've done that. This will be the 3rd.
Yes.
We've done ELA, math, and now this is science, the 3rd one we've done that way. And we have gone back to get a couple of things, a few things ELA. Not much, but things that we maybe need a little bit more of than what we got the first time.
Yeah, the money that we transferred over is in a specific fund, specifically just for that type of curriculum spending, so.
And that's actually in your financial work tonight. So. That's all I have.
Very good.
Thank you.
Okay, that will conclude then the superintendent's report. Moving on to citizens' comments. There are appear to be none tonight. Likewise with president's comments.
Thank you. We have a 5-hour meeting.
I was going to say we got a long agenda tonight, so
Bless you, Andy.
I'll let my thoughts build up.
Just percolate like an old-fashioned coffee pot.
Such as they are.
Such as they are.
We'll move on to approval of minutes. Need a motion?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Approval of the minutes. Any discussion?
I'll add a couple of things. Mr. Venters brought me one item just on the April 30th meeting. We noted the statute about the 2-day notice, and the wording that I had there, it should say the statute is there to protect against having secret meetings, not to protect secret meetings.
Good job, I didn't even catch that.
Yeah. Well, Andy's the one that said it, so.
He wanted to make sure that was right.
All of the other changes that I have, Joe Ellen brought to me changes that were more Punctuation.
Yeah.
Grammatical, yes. So,
I don't even point those out anymore.
yeah, you know, your brain just reads right
I
through
know.
them, don't even see
It's
them.
like, I think we
But,
understand you were saying go, not G.
I think, yes, there was a G and so it should have been go.
I saw that one.
That was one of them. So those are the only two things that have been updated from the ones that you had as of Saturday morning.
I thought you were getting hip, like, hey, G. How the kids talk now, I said, whoa, look at Mr. Stevens, he's
No, just
adopting that
didn't type
new
the O.
high school lingo.
That's all.
We don't allow that. School
No,
boards
I
can't.
was like, what is it?
He's the OG treasurer.
That's right.
No. Were there any other comments that anybody might have seen that need to be updated in those minutes?
I literally only saw the go part, that was the only thing I caught.
No further discussion, we're ready for a vote.
Okay. Mrs. Dunaway.
Yes.
Mrs. Dahl.
Yes.
Mrs. Heatherly.
Yes.
Mr. Spano.
Yes.
And then Mr. Ventures.
Yes, and that motion is approved. Next up is the treasurer's report. First item under there is the monthly financial report.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second?
Moved and seconded, Sam and Corinne. Any discussion?
Sam, did you have something? I mean, the only thing I'd like to say is that we're moving along. The budget versus actual report is looking very good. Our revenues are slightly up and our expenditures are just, our salaries and benefits are right where I want them to be. The remaining expenditure items are a little lower than if you took 12 months, divided it by 12, and that's where we get. We're lower than that, as you can see by the percentages that are there, so.
We're on track or a little better than on track?
Yes, we're on track or a little better, and let's go through some of that in the 5-year forecast that's coming up.
Sure. Okay. Any other discussion? All right, we're ready for a vote?
Mr. Spano.
Yes.
Mrs. Dahl.
Yes.
Mrs. Dunaway.
Yes.
Mrs. Heatherly.
Yes.
Mr. Ventures.
Yes. All right, appropriation amendments?
Motion was approved.
Oh, I'm sorry, the motion was approved, yes. And we're on to item B, the appropriation amendments.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded, Joellen and Teresa, any discussion?
Hey Dave, I had a question at the bottom, the public school support fund, $900 for the Relay for Life t-shirts. Was that,
Same question.
because what was that about?
The participants pay money for the shirts, so the
Okay.
money's coming in and the money's coming out.
Okay.
It's not a cost to the school district, it's an
It's
in
just a
and out in the
pass-through.
principal's fund.
Well, yeah, I was just confused because normally for as long as I've been in this district, they get sponsors and they're donated, and it's normally 2,000. So that's good, they're only 900, but I hadn't seen that before. Maybe it's the first time we didn't.
Well, I'm not sure,
You get
it
donations.
could be still $2,000.
Oh, that would make
But
sense.
it might still be, this is just the additional budget that
Okay.
was needed to make that.
Gotcha. That just
cover
caught my
that
eye,
expense.
because it was A, lower, and B, we usually have a donation, so I was just confused. Thank you. Good enough.
Okay. If there's no further discussion, we can go ahead and vote.
Mrs. Heatherly,
Yes.
Mrs. Dunaway,
Yes.
Mrs. Dahl,
Yes.
Mr. Spano,
Yes.
Mr. Ventures.
Yes. Moving on to that motion is approved. Moving on to transfers. Item C.
I'll move.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the transfers as listed there in the agenda. Corinne and Teresa, any discussion?
Just note that this is to fund the curriculum, science curriculum for the next 6 years.
Okay.
Thanks for staying under budget.
We'll have the large expense up front in year 1, and then we'll be paying for any additional supplemental items and licensure increase updates from years 2 through 6.
Very good. I think we're ready for a vote.
Mrs. Dahl,
Yes.
Mrs. Dunaway.
Yes.
Mrs. Heatherly,
Yes.
Mr. Spano,
Yes.
Mr. Ventures.
Yes, and that motion is approved. Item D, the 5-year forecast.
Okay.
The motion to approve that.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded, Sam and Joellen. Any discussion?
I will say, based on the, we did see some slight increases in students this year. I want to say our enrollment number was up about 60 students. With more students comes additional funding from the state. So much so that we actually were placed on the funding cap. We didn't get, I think we got 99 point something percent of our funding instead of the 100%.
Oh, so I wonder if it's, what's the cutoff, I wonder?
Just a couple
Right around
students.
60, yeah.
Yeah, so we're right, so we're about 2,500.
Okay.
So anything more than that, so they've capped us. Which, as we know, that Patterson program tries to get districts off the cap.
Sure.
Because I believe that a third of all the schools in Ohio are on the cap, which isn't a good thing. It means you're not being funded for students that are in your district.
Absolutely.
So when I saw that, I was a little surprised, but I'm glad it was just 99 point something. And also, we did have additional tax revenue come in this year. So along with those items, our revenues expected for the year were higher than the original 5-year forecast that was presented in October. And we have also been in line with our expenditures. And so I believe we're going to see a positive increase this year by about $1 million from the swing from additional revenues and not spending as much. The only bad thing is that, not bad thing, but just we have to keep our eyes on our health insurance benefit costs. We've discussed that.
Yeah.
That is still being looked into with outside sources, trying to see if we can reduce those rates that we might anticipate seeing. However, since we don't know for sure what's going on, what we know is currently budgeted in the forecast. Okay. In the end, we do have, at the end of the 5 years, I'm showing with the approval, with the renewal of the May 2015 emergency levy, we will have an ending cash balance of about $7 million, which is less than a third of our operating expenses for an entire fiscal year. So, any questions that I might be able to answer on the 5-year forecast?
So you mentioned the cap, and what does that mean to us for next year? Will the cap raise if we get additional enrollment, or what does that mean as, for that?
It's calculated every year, since there's no change in the foundation formula that we're expecting. The only changes that are currently in the governor's budget and the House budget is an increase to wellness funding. So I am anticipating that the calculation will stay the same. So if we receive more than 2,500 students with enrollment increasing, we're going to see less funding from the state for the enrollment that we have. I could be wrong though, but when the first numbers come in for the enrollment that we have for fiscal year 20, I'll be sure to let everyone know where we are with the cap. So, because we will stay with the same funding in July and August until we get through September and start reporting the current enrollment numbers for the year. So we'll stay with what we have right now.
Okay.
And I can even, there's a gigantic sheet that has all the numbers on how that's calculated. I can even send that out and we can all follow along. Try to figure out the calculations. It's okay. He says no.
Yeah, no, okay.
Okay. If there's no other discussion, we can go ahead and take a vote.
Mr. Spano?
Yes.
Mrs. Heatherly?
Yes.
Mrs. Dunaway? I'm sorry, Mrs.
Dahl.
Dahl?
Yes.
Mrs. Dunaway?
Yes.
And Mr. Ventures?
Yes. And that motion is approved.
Okay, and just for informational purposes, I will file this with the state tomorrow.
Okay. Moving on, number 7, old business. Nothing on the agenda here under old business. Anyone have anything to raise? All right, we'll move on to new business then. I'll turn it over to Dr. Cohn.
All right, item A, I recommend approval to accept the following resignations as per the agenda.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded, Sam and Joellen. Any discussion? Hearing none?
Mr. Spano?
Yes.
Mrs. Heatherly?
Yes.
Mrs. Dahl?
Yes.
Mrs. Dunaway?
Yes.
Mr. Venters?
Yes, that motion is approved.
Item B, recommend approval of the salary schedule for the 2019-2020 school year for the administrative, classified, and substitute staff.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded, Joellen and Corinne. Any discussion? Hearing none?
Mrs. Heatherly?
Yes.
Mrs. Dahl?
Yes.
Mrs. Dunaway?
Yes.
Mr. Spano?
Yes.
Mr. Venters?
Yes, that motion is approved.
Item C, recommend approval of the salary schedule for the 2019-2020 school year for the Director of Technology Administrative position.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded, Sam and Joellen. Any discussion?
Well, I have a question. How has this job changed? Wait, it's just the, hang on for a second.
This is the Director of Technology.
Right, never mind, wrong one.
Okay,
There's so much stuff on here tonight, I'm like,
yes, there is a lot.
Well, I appreciate the job description that went along with the
Yes.
salary schedule, so we could see how it has changed.
And I think that the title, it is just that, a change with the title. It had been Network Administrative Technology Integrator and Director of Technology. Even though those things are still occurring, it's just easier to communicate.
Well, hang on for a second, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do this. I was going through, is this the actual, this is just the schedule? We're not doing the actual?
Yeah, that one is because of the change in the number of days is now 250 days. And then also the title being more simplified. This one was brought out separate. It will in future be in the packet when we're doing the administrative salary schedule.
Okay, so I guess my question is, where is the, if you go to the job description, where's the information from, like, did we do a survey of, you know, Director of Technology, there's a lot of interaction with staff. What does the staff think of this person and how they did their job?
That'd be more of an evaluation piece rather than a job description or,
Right.
yeah.
Well, but we're approving the salary schedule, right? So I guess I'm confused.
The schedule, but not this, not any particular person. I think this is not tied to any
Okay,
particular individual.
because
This is just,
We have too many conversations going on
Yeah.
from other meetings
Right.
and
So
it's easy to miss stuff.
this is a change to the,
In general.
to the table of organization.
Gotcha.
And it reflects increased days and duties, including supervision duties.
That's
Supervision
one-
of the
Yeah,
EMS.
that's one thing I didn't see on here under qualifications. It doesn't say, like an administrator's license or anything, so this person won't be directly supervising anybody, like.
It will be actually supervising, coordinating, and evaluating EMS staff. It'd be the EMS staff is who they're working with.
Is that on there?
And that's
I didn't
kind
see
of
that.
more, I'd say, down, if you go about 3/4 down the page. And then below that, shortly thereafter, it gets into the essential functions. It's about, I would say, at least 2/3 down. It begins with supervise, coordinate, and evaluate. Yes, and then right below there, it works with EMS to manage the EMS piece. And then below that, it begins with looking at the data collection. Let's see, it moves into the testing piece, because this is the other thing. So the testing component. I had that in front of me earlier, maybe that's where it is.
So it's like 4 below the EMIS.
Yeah, that'd be
Coordinates
the-
district-wide testing activities.
Yep. And then there's about 4 bullets side by side.
But we've never had EMIS under this position before.
We have not.
That's new.
Yeah, so that's new, and then the testing had been with EMIS, but this
Right.
person is actually going to be taking testing. What we're finding, and we're preparing for, once again, to look at our EMIS role and even EMIS staffing, that EMIS coordinators predominantly are not testing coordinators.
Okay. Okay, any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and have a roll call vote.
Mr. Spano,
Yes.
Mrs. Heatherly,
Yes.
Mrs. Dahl,
Yes.
Mrs. Dunaway,
Yes.
Mr. Ventures.
Yes, that motion is approved.
Item D, approval of the salary schedule for the 2019-2020 school year for the payroll clerk classified position.
I'll move.
Second.
Moved and seconded, Corinne and Sam. Any discussion? Okay. Hearing none. We're ready for a vote?
Mrs. Dahl,
Yes.
Mr. Spano,
Yes.
Mrs. Dunaway,
Yes.
Mrs. Heatherly,
Yes.
Mr. Ventures.
Yes, and that motion is approved.
Item E,
I know.
I have a
sorry.
question, yeah.
It's
I was-
confusing.
I
This is
was looking,
confusing.
I was looking at it, and we really don't, our people don't get Christmas Eve off, nobody gets Christmas Eve off.
It's not a legal holiday.
It's not illegal?
Christmas Day is a legal holiday.
Oh,
so we have several that are below, for example, if you're not at 260, if you're like at 250,
yeah,
then that would not be one of the days that you're not scheduled.
okay.
If there's a non-working day, say, because there could be 261 or 262 work days, if you do Monday through Friday,
Okay,
I always try to make sure that Christmas Eve is the first day off,
okay,
and that then the Black Friday or the day before Thanksgiving,
yeah, yeah,
try to work around those
yeah, okay,
holidays.
okay.
But nothing prohibits people to ask for a vacation or a personal day
not at all.
if they wanted that day off.
I think I mentioned, I personally found that the schedules were at our board office, that they were off, and
Okay,
our teaching staff, of course, are off.
of course, okay.
Yes. All right, are we ready for item
Item
Okay, item E, recommend approval of the following appointment in administrative position for the 2019-2020 and 2020-2021 school years effective August 1st, 2019, and that would be Galen Gingrich. He would be moving from assistant superintendent to Nevin Coffey principal.
I'll make motion.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded, Sam and Joelle. Any discussion? Ready for a vote?
Mr. Spano,
Yes.
Mrs. Heatherly,
Yes.
Mrs. Dahl,
Yes,
Mrs. Dunaway,
Yes.
Mr. Ventures.
Yes.
There you
That
go,
motion's
Kayla.
approved. Congratulations.
That's a big job.
A lot of happy little kids out there.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, it's gonna be
Parents
exciting
too.
year.
Yeah, parents too,
I'm
absolutely.
excited.
a lot of staff,
Nice. All right,
Kids get so excited.
I know,
They're so cute.
Mr. B's back.
item F, recommend approval of May 13th, 2019 waiver submitted by Galen Gingrich in conjunction with his appointment as Nevin Coffey principal for the 2019-2020 school year.
Motion?
I'll move.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded, Corinne and Joelle. Any discussion? Hearing none?
Mrs. Dahl,
Yes,
Mrs. Heatherly,
Yes.
Mrs. Dunaway,
Yes.
Mr. Spano,
Yes.
Mr. Ventures.
Yes. That motion is approved.
Item G, recommend approval of the administrative staff for the 2019-2020 school year.
I'll make motion.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded, Sam and Joelle. Any discussion?
I do. I wish this would have been a little more transparent, because we just did the salary schedule for Director of Technology, and now we're kind of putting this in with the administrative staff recommendations. And I just wish we would have handled that a little differently. I just feel like it's,
You mean had that approved separately?
well, yeah, because, you know, if we're gonna give people raises, I feel like it should be transparent. And I just don't like it being in there all kind of lumped together.
Okay.
Make a
Is that-
motion
is
to
that
remove that item from this motion, and then we can come back and visit it separately, if that's what you want to do.
I mean, I'm
Of
just,
course, I'm gonna ask, I mean, with this increase in days, the daily rate could go down for that position.
we had this conversation, I
Yeah,
understand.
I
I just, you know, we're all about being transparent, we're trying to build this relationship with the community.
I mean, I think that's why we did approve it separately from the large group of all of the other administrative salaries when it comes to the salary schedule.
Well, we did the salary schedule.
Right.
That was just in general salary schedule. Now it's on this paper as administrative staff recommendations.
Right, I mean,
If we wanted to be really transparent, we could have had that salary from last year versus that salary from this year,
okay,
because it's not a secret.
no,
Are you concerned with it appearing compounded?
so
I
you
don't know
would
how
have
else to
wanted to
say
see work days from last year versus work days from this year showing 226 to 250? And salary from old to salary to new?
I just think if somebody's getting a substantial raise, it should be noted. It's, the community.
Perception.
Yeah, it's about, the optics of
You're
this.
right, you're right, I see
The
this
optics of this
differently.
is not above board, that's all I'm saying. And, everybody knows what's going on. It's kind of like the elephant in the room. And if you're a person who's been in this district for a long time and you're working hard every single day and you feel like you're, not getting paid what you should be or what you're worth, and somebody else comes along and gets, a $7,000 or $8,000 raise, how does that impact the climate and culture? And how does that make the other person feel who comes to work every day, does their job, puts in their time? It just doesn't seem transparent.
All right,
So the bigger question would be, is there a
is this the right
process for
position that
that?
you're talking about?
Yeah.
This is the technology director
Yeah,
position?
right.
I don't recall this being a $7,000 or $8,000 increase. Or maybe,
Well, I don't want to talk about meetings that we're not allowed to talk about, but,
okay, well, all right.
do you know what I'm saying?
Well, the simplest thing to do at this point is to amend the motion, make amendment to the motion to remove the technology director from this list, and we'll revisit separately.
When will we revisit that, Sam?
As a follow-on motion here, I mean, we'll create a brand new motion for just the director of technology position. If that's a huge concern, we've seen the job description change.
Right,
So there's additional responsibilities that went with the job position, and the justification therefore, a different salary schedule. So,
that could be argued that that's never happened before, and
I don't know about never, that's an awful long time.
EMIS has never been under Director of Technology since I've been a board member.
Well, that's
So,
true, that's
I
new
haven't,
responsibility.
but is it necessary or is it justification? That's a big difference.
I think it's efficient.
It could be both, it could be both. The EMIS person is gonna be new this year. We're hiring a new EMIS person, so maybe we're putting the cart before the horse.
But we also said that there's a lot of communication because of the EMIS data, of course, that impacts our state funding, our state report card is a very
Yeah,
important
always
decision.
has, it always has.
But so much of it is electronic with data and with the Power School, but the Power School component that the technology person works with, that they have a close contact and working relationship so that all of that is as seamless as possible. So that seemed like a natural and good connection for that. Presently, it's like who evaluates the EMIS person? Right now, our EMIS is evaluated by the county because that's a county position, but we're wanting to bring it back on board. So
Well,
that
right,
became a
because-
question, who would be working closely with someone that's at a coordinator level versus an upper level. So, that was just part of the thought process.
I think as a board a little bit, we
Go ahead.
gotta step back a little bit. This is how the administration wants their team and how they wanna run things. We've gotta,
I
think,
understand-
recognize that to some extent.
I understand
It's
that.
their call.
I get that, but my whole thing is, if you're gonna start doing, it kind of becomes, if you're gonna start giving out raises, and then, where does it end?
But this isn't
So-
a raise, this was a decrease. We've given out additional days of work.
I understand.
And decreased the daily rate. So,
Maybe the bigger question is, does the district have a procedure to assess positions? And I think as a board, we have challenged the administration to look at realigning and updating job descriptions and
Well,
making sure
yeah.
we do a salary schedule and study.
We
and-
talked about having Battelle come in, it was $30,000 for them to do all the job descriptions and find out, where everybody was on the salary schedule compared to other districts, and mostly job efficiency to, maybe $30,000 seems like a lot of money, but if you combine two positions, not only did you save salary, you eliminated
Benefits.
benefits, right? So, I don't know, I just feel like we're always running in this circle where this happens, two people get a raise, then two more, we change this, we change that, and then all of a sudden everything gets out of whack. So, I don't know.
It's a smart investment that we probably need to revisit, and looking at that, this is one step of aligning the table of organization. Moving EMIS under the Director of Technology seems to make sense. I think that we thought that was a smart idea to rearrange the table of organization in that manner, but I also understand what you're saying
Well,
is
yeah.
we're picking certain positions,
Yes.
but not looking comprehensively at all positions.
Yeah, I
which
worry
we need
about,
to
I
do.
worry about how that impacts the climate and the culture.
Sure, and the perception.
Absolutely,
I think that's a good way to put it, Joanna.
yeah.
It does feel like you're, and then I think too, like, given the hugeness of this schedule, and then this is just like kind of thrown in there, and it doesn't.
We didn't spend a lot of
we
time.
can't
Right.
spend a lot of time.
Right.
With, I don't know, how many.
Right. It just seemed very rushed.
Yeah.
It was very rushed.
The increase in responsibilities, I think, merit the change in salary schedule. And to me,
That's
it's
fine.
more than just a title change,
Yeah.
but I can certainly understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
That it seems like we're doing positions in isolation and not doing a comprehensive review of all
Right.
positions.
And that would have been great to have Battelle come in and do everything all at once.
Okay. All right, well, let's kind of focus back on this
Sure.
motion here. Does anybody want to do what Sam suggested, make a motion
It's
to
fine,
carve it
Sam,
out? or-
don't
okay.
worry, we're good.
All right, so no further discussion then, we ready for a vote?
Thank you though, Sam, I appreciate that suggestion.
Mr. Spano,
Yes.
Mrs. Heatherly,
Yes?
Mrs. Dahl,
Yes.
Mrs. Dunaway,
Yes,
Mr. Venters.
Yes. Okay, that motion is approved. We're on page 2.
Recommend approval of the certified staff for the 2019-2020 school year.
I'll move.
second,
Moved and seconded, Corinne and Teresa, any discussion? Hearing none, we're ready for a vote.
Mrs. Dahl,
Yes.
Mrs. Dunaway,
yes,
Mrs. Heatherly,
Yes?
Mr. Spano,
Yes.
Mr. Venters.
Yes. That motion is approved.
Item I, recommend approval of the extended day certified contracts for the 2019-2020 school year.
So moved.
I'll second.
Any changes to this schedule from last year?
One that I know of, and that is for middle school guidance counselor Ann Tui. She moved from 6 days to 10 extended days. And that's largely with the scheduling aspect that she does, and that she is a single counselor there at the middle school. Whereas our high school, so you can see the increments move up as the needs move up. More the additional extended days for our 3 high school counselors.
Thank you.
All right. No further discussion, I think we're ready for a vote.
Mr. Spano,
Yes.
Mrs. Dahl,
Yes.
Mrs. Dunaway,
yes,
Mrs. Heatherly,
Yes?
Mr. Venters.
Yes, that motion is approved.
Item J, recommend approval of the classified staff for the 2019-2020 school year.
I'll make a motion.
second,
Moved and seconded. Joellen and Teresa, any discussion? Hearing none?
Mrs. Heatherly?
Yes.
Mrs. Dunaway?
Yes.
Mrs. Dahl?
Yes.
Mr. Spano?
Yes.
Mr. Venters?
Yes. That motion is approved.
Item K, recommend approval to pay $2,000 for kitchen manager stipends for the 2019-2020 school year to the following lunchroom managers to cover extra duties they assume: Margaret Bourne, Tammy Green, Julie Kim, and Deanna Poling.
I'll move.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Corinne and Sam, any discussion? Hearing none?
Mrs. Dahl?
Yes.
Mr. Spano?
Yes.
Mrs. Dunaway?
Yes.
Mrs. Heatherly?
Yes.
Mr. Venters?
Yes. That motion is approved.
Item L, recommend approval of the following supplemental fall coaching positions for the 2019-2020 school year, pending verification of proper certification and paperwork.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second. Been moved and seconded, Sam and myself, any discussion?
Well, I have a question. There's a couple of names on here I don't recognize, most of them I do. How do these people, I've never asked this question, how do they get chosen, or what's the process?
It's posted, they apply.
Okay.
It's posted, they apply, and then the athletic director and the head coach does interviewing, and then it's sent over to me for a final interview if it is a new person that's coming on board that's not been one.
So if this says outside, I just want to understand this process, then this person, obviously, we post all the jobs, external, right? Because it's an outside person. And then that goes to the athletic director, or does it go to Mr. G, does it go to you? I'm confused.
For the listing of, for example, it's posted
Yeah, let's
outside,
just
so
pick
that
an
would be-
outside
yeah,
person, I'll
okay,
pick
yeah,
Charles
okay,
Taylor.
Yeah,
I mean,
right, well, we can choose Hunter, because Hunter was here this evening.
oh, perfect, there you
Yeah.
go. How does that
Hunter
work?
was here this evening. Hunter at this time is not one of our staff members.
Exactly,
There's
perfect
a-
example.
Right, there's a position that was posted for, there's a given number of assistant football coaches. And so that was on the list of how many we were needing to fill.
Got it.
And so we had some of our own staff apply for that and were interviewed, and then we had others outside that applied for it. And working with the head football coach as well as the athletic director, then they narrowed it down and they sent their final candidate to me for a final interview before recommendation.
So it's, if it's a tennis coach, it goes to the head tennis coach and then you, that's the process?
And tennis coach along with, often the principal may be involved, the high school principal, but often it'd be the AD, the athletic director.
Okay, okay.
Okay, any further discussion? Okay, I think we're ready for a vote. Mr. Stevens?
Give me one moment.
Sure.
Okay, Mr. Spano?
Yes.
Mr. Venters?
Yes.
Mrs. Dahl?
Yes.
Mrs. Dunaway?
No.
Mrs. Heatherly?
Yes.
That motion is approved.
Item N, recommend approval of the following change in position. That's Kristen Marsh from third grade teacher to first grade teacher.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Moved and seconded, Joellen and Sam. Any discussion? All right, hearing none?
Mrs. Heatherly?
Yes.
Mr. Spano?
Yes.
Mrs. Dahl?
Yes.
Mrs. Dunaway?
Yes.
Mr. Venters?
Yes. That motion is approved.
Item N, recommend approval to change the following 2018-19 contract staff allocation due to clerical error, as per the agenda.
Any vote?
I'll move.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded, Corinne and Joellen. Any discussion here?
I'll just note these were found when double checking the contracts before we paid at the end of the year.
Thank you, attention.
Very good.
Okay, Carol?
Thank you, Carol.
All right. No further discussion, we're ready for a vote.
Mrs. Dahl?
Yes.
Mrs. Heatherly?
Yes.
Mrs. Dunaway?
Yes.
Mr. Spano?
Yes.
Mr. Ventures?
Yes. That motion is approved.
Item O, recommend approval of the following staff for the 2019 Summer Stagecrafters Program as per the agenda.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second. It's moved and seconded. Sam and myself. Any discussion?
I have a question. I guess it's my night for questions. I had a parent ask me this, and I don't know all the kids on this list, obviously. Do you have to be a graduating senior to get paid? I guess that's what their question was to me. Like, if you're a junior, you don't get paid? I don't know.
Do you know, Mr.?
Is somebody a junior that's not getting paid?
Well, no. So the parent, so I guess how this works, and I'm just going by the theater. I don't have children in theater. But so this parent is a theater parent, and the kids apply. They send in an application for the job, and then
Wait to be called back?
to get the job, to become a counselor.
Okay.
So I guess, I told the parent, I have no idea.
So I do think that this,
Do you know, Dr. Collins?
it's connected to experience, and so many of the stagecraft summer staff are active in the theater program here.
Yeah, sure.
Yes, and so as I look at the list, I do see seniors, and then I also see
Existing seniors or graduating seniors?
graduating seniors.
Right, so I
Maybe
guess,
this was seniors that are graduating here in
Absolutely.
the next few
Right.
days, yeah. Mhm.
sure.
And that, and then we move into a few that are
Like
in
juniors?
university.
Okay, so I guess this parent said, if you're gonna be a junior or senior next year at Tippecanoe, do you get paid? Are you allowed to volunteer?
Allowed to,
I said, I don't know.
all right, so allowed to volunteer, once again, that'd be.
Paid volunteer.
Oh, a paid
That was
volunteer,
the
right.
parent's question was, if my child is gonna be a senior next year, are they a paid volunteer? I said, I have no idea.
Oxymoron?
Yeah,
Right. Well, paid counselor, let's just say
that's right.
paid
Is
counselor.
it a paid position? So
Right, paid
that-
position.
That actually would be a question for Mr. Wallingford, since.
Oh, sure, he's new this year.
Right, but I know that he's following a template similar to what's been used before.
Okay, so I'll just refer them to him.
Okay, yeah, I think that would be good.
Okay, because I didn't know. So earlier tonight, we had the discussion on mental wellness, which I'm extremely passionate about. And one of the things that we're really good at Tippecanoe, K through 12, is all of the kids pretty much can recite, be responsible, be respectful, have integrity.
Mhm.
I love that the middle school did the signs on the stairs. I think it looks amazing. All the work that Mr. Lavercombe championed for the doors, all of that's fantastic. But I feel like that initiative has to start at the top. So if you're looking at this list of kids, I as a parent am sending my child to Stagecrafters and they're a 5th grader. I want to know that the kids on this list are responsible, respectful, and have integrity. To me, that means our school is walking the walk and talking the talk. That means something because other kids look up to these kids. And I feel like that's extremely important. So that was my comment.
How do they determine who gets paid what? I was just looking at the range from
Mhm.
160 to 200 for counselors. Is there,
It's part of their role and their responsibility, but once again, that does go back to our theater teacher, Mr. Wallingford, that is overseeing the program. And I think that he is working off of a type of a template, but I don't know about the exact amounts.
I just think it's important for these kids to represent the Tip City values because we're always touting Tip City values, Tip City values. So,
And Corinne, I'll go back that I wonder if in some situations, for example, someone may not be able to attend one day. So that, say for example, if someone is committing as a counselor, but they know that one day that they're finishing up a particular course, or maybe a course is starting over the summer, or that they have some other conflict, then that's probably been adjusted because we have some different amounts that are different by increment of $10. Yeah.
and they just post this like in the high school or whatever?
Mr. Beerhoff, can you help with that? Do you know
how they
Mr.
choose
Wallingford
these
posts
students?
this?
Mr. Wallingford posts it within the theater program,
Okay,
and then students are able to apply.
okay.
Thank you.
further discussion? Okay. Hearing none, we're ready for a vote.
Yes.
Mr. Spano?
Yes.
You're psychic. Mr. Venters?
Yes.
Mrs. Dahl?
Abstain?
Mrs. Dunaway?
No.
Mrs. Heatherly?
Abstain.
Well, let's see, so we've got 2 yeses, a no, and 2 abstentions.
The stagecrafters program begins before the next meeting.
Okay.
Well, it passes. Need
Does
two.
it?
The abstentions vote on the side of the prevailing side. They're coming on the side of the prevailing side.
Maybe you're right, I don't know for
I
sure.
don't know that.
This is sort of unprecedented.
Wait, Joan, we can Google Robert's rules. Oh, too bad Nancy Bowman
Well, do
isn't
we
here.
have,
She's good at that.
I don't know, it'd have to be something, I think, in our own bylaws, though. You know, Robert's rules, as adopted by.
Yeah. I think we pretty much follow the basic Roberts rules. I can go on Board Docs and check.
Do we need to go on board docs?
Yeah, I was just gonna try to go on Board Docs and Google it. Under policy.
Well, do we want to move on with other things for a minute, or table
We
this?
do that
till-
and come back?
Do you want to amend the motion?
Let's see here.
I don't know that our policy breaks it down to how, if you have such and such vote, that this is how you proceed.
In California, it's now 2 yes, 1 no, 2 absent, and a fail.
I always heard the
Abstain,
abstentions are
sorry.
no's.
Let me see if I
Yeah,
I always
this
heard
says,
the abstentions are
Even though
no's.
abstention is counted as a vote cast, it is effectively
no.
acts as a no vote.
Yeah, that's how it's always been, abstentions are no's.
Well, let's try to get the right, the official right answer, because I want to make sure it's,
Sure, I understand.
first place we check is
Yeah,
our
yeah.
own bylaws.
Absolutely.
Well, do we need to amend what's being voted on here? Because again, the stagecrafters program occurs in mid-June before we meet again.
Possibly 60 students that are involved with that.
I believe it's 100 students.
Yeah, well, but, is there a potential amendment to the motion that would, I don't know what you guys are, you seem to have.
Well, I
what's
just-
your issue? Can
well,
we
my
amend the
in-
motion that you would get a yes vote, is my question.
Yeah, my abstention was, like I said, I feel like when you look at this list of volunteers, if you say, oh, hey, person X, parents, staff, and students should say, yeah, that person is be respectful, be responsible, have integrity. And if a person isn't, they shouldn't be a counselor. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, so you seem to be identifying somebody.
Well, I don't want to say
I don't-
someone's name
well,
I mean, isn't that kind of right? I
But
don't,
I don't know if it's the board's job to pick particular kids or not.
but I can vote no. I have every right to vote no if I disagree with, if I don't think a kid is
Okay, you're right.
setting the kind of values that other kids should follow. That is my job as a board. People voted for me because I have strong values, I hope. And if I'm sending my kid to this camp, I want to know that other counselors have those same values that I value as a parent.
Okay. Well, listen, it's not a tie. We need to go and somebody research the issue within our own bylaws while we finish the
I
meeting.
can't find anything in our bylaws for abstain or vote.
Well,
vote
doesn't it say that we follow Robert's Rules of Orders?
Yeah, if it does, I'm looking at Robert's Rules of Orders, and it says, if any organization has no bylaws and its parliamentary authority is Robert's Rules of Order, any abstentions count as 0.
What's that mean?
It takes, if
That's
only,
a non-vote.
the variance does not pass because an abstention is not a vote and is not counted either way. It's not a good example.
The bigger question I got is this vote required to have a majority of the members present or the members that are casting a vote?
Well, I can find out.
That's what we need to know.
Can I step out?
Yep.
Yeah, please do. We gotta resolve this, so.
We do. My largest concern, and I know it is yours when you're thinking about the individuals working with our youth, but
It's very
we
important.
do need to figure out how we can make the program sustainable as far as that they're able to move forward.
The program is very important, and Mr. Wallingford has been a rock star. He has gone above and beyond, has superseded all expectations. That is not in question here at all. He has,
Andy,
Yeah.
here's your Robert's rule.
he's hit a home run.
I will say that he interviewed and selected these students is part of this process. But we'll see what this results are. And I guess we need to be thinking in our minds and maybe using this time, if it is a no, how do we proceed so that we can help Mr. Wallingford be able to still offer the program?
Well, yeah, that's right. I mean, if the result of this analysis is that the motion does not pass, then we've
The program
got
cannot
the
move
program.
forward.
You take and vote on each one of them individually, and then whichever ones get approved, you approve, and the
Yeah.
ones that don't get approved.
Okay,
And that's the only other option you got.
that makes sense.
That's how we handled it last year. We modified the motion to remove some kids from the list so that we. I don't remember, we didn't do that.
I would worry about FERPA with that and removing and reading them off one at a time.
No different than we vote for staff or anybody
Yeah,
else.
but they're not students, and they don't
Yeah.
have FERPA protection, and they're not under 18.
Is this executive session?
Most all of these kids are graduated
Doesn't-
students anyways.
Well,
That doesn't mean they're 18 or over 18. Would this
Currently,
be
the students
executive
there-
They're
session?
currently
So-
students, and they,
Because it's hiring or contract? It's basically a contract and we're hiring them. They're paid.
I don't know.
Dr. Comp?
Yes, it's not an executive session that we've scheduled and announced.
Okay, well,
So we can't really move into that, and it would not.
we've
it would
added
be
things
under
to we've
contract.
added things to executive session before. Less, you know what I mean, during a
can
meeting.
we make a motion right now to add it to executive session, since we're going into executive session?
Right, we already have an executive session scheduled.
I mean, if we can
But-
remove some and right now make different motions, I don't know why we can't add something.
Do that, yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
And that way,
Okay.
we can protect all
Right,
students,
I agree.
and that way, we don't have to hold everybody up as well.
Right, and then Dave's still researching
And you
too.
can't vote in executive session.
Oh, no, I understand. Oh, absolutely not. Right,
But we
absolutely
can
not.
resolve things without giving away any FERPA information,
Right,
and then move back into the regular meeting and then vote.
All right, well, let's get Dave
Yeah.
back in so we can move on with the
Should
agenda.
be halfway to the
Just like that?
don't you wish you had that magical power all the time?
Yeah, especially at home.
What would you use it on?
This is
Don't
a no
answer.
vote. This is a no vote. If we wanted to, we could move into executive session to discuss.
That's what we just discussed. Thank you.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, so
Move
we would
into
like a motion
executive
for that
session.
right now.
So first, so the motion fails.
Yep, let me do that.
I need, if someone wants to do this, to amend the agenda to add an executive session item. Do I have a motion for that?
I will move.
All right. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to amend the agenda to add an executive session item. This will be for the purpose of discussion.
So do we put it on the agenda and then vote on it? So we vote to put it on and then vote to do it?
We're gonna, yeah, we're
No, I
gonna,
mean vote to go into executive session. I mean, right now, we're voting to put an executive session onto the
I'm
agenda.
anticipating
We already-
putting it.
we already have
we already have an executive session for tonight.
We're just
We're
adding
just
them.
adding a topic to the executive
Right.
session.
Oh.
'Cause we already have-
Add an section
Right, we already have
item.
B.
Actually, we already have exactly what we're gonna be talking about.
Yeah, that's what I said, to consider the,
Well,
because
but
they're
that's-
compensated.
But, yeah, but
Yeah, so we'll add another
you can't
one.
just
Right,
toss in everything.
Right.
It's gotta be separately added. All right.
To consider the compensation and employment of it.
right.
Okay. be done at the end of the meeting?
Correct.
Okay.
Need to vote on that.
Yeah,
And
you
that
just need to vote on that
was
motion.
Mrs. Dahl,
Yes.
Mr. Spano,
Yes.
Mrs. Dunaway,
Yes.
Mrs. Heatherly,
Yes.
Mr. Venters.
Yes. All right,
And tell me the motions.
that motion approved.
Dahl and Spano.
Okay, moving on, item P.
All right.
I'll move.
Second?
Well, hold on.
Oh, sorry.
I hadn't read the motion.
I'm trying to make up for time. Sorry, Andy.
All right, recommend approval of the following 2019 summer school staff as per the agenda.
I will move.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded, Corinne and Teresa. Any discussion? Hearing none?
Mrs. Dahl,
Yes.
Mrs. Dunaway.
Yes.
Mrs. Heatherly.
Yes.
Mr. Spano,
Yes.
Mr. Venters.
Yes, and motion is approved.
Item Q, recommend approval of the attached substitute staff for cafeteria, maintenance, and transportation for the 2019-2020 school year.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded, Teresa and Corinne. Any discussion? Hearing none?
Mrs. Dunaway,
Yes.
Mrs. Dahl,
Yes.
Mrs. Heatherly,
Yes.
Mr. Spano,
Yes.
Mr. Venters.
Yes, that motion is approved.
Do you guys want me to keep being proper, or would you like me to just say our last names?
Whatever makes you
It goes
happy.
faster.
Yeah, we
Let's
can
go.
cut out the
Okay,
formality.
that extra Mr. or Mrs.
Yeah.
That's right.
It adds 20 minutes onto a 5-hour meeting.
All right.
Item R, recommend approval of the following summer maintenance projects funded by the permanent improvement budget as per the agenda.
No,
Do
we
we
didn't.
skip Q?
We just,
Just-
Okay.
I'll make a motion. Substitutes.
Second.
Moved and seconded, Joellen and Sam. Any discussion?
Nope.
All right, hearing none?
Heatherly,
Yes.
Spano,
Yes.
Dahl,
Yes.
Dunaway,
Yes.
Venters.
Yes. I'm sorry, that motion approved. It has been approved. Yes.
Item S, recommend approval to accept $7,275 in grant dollars from the Miami County Foundation. And I will quickly highlight those. That was a safety night lockdown, door barricade, a boom shop, hot wiggle and roll, and also a flexible seating.
All right.
I'll make the motion.
Second?
Moved and seconded, Sam and Teresa. Any discussion?
Appreciate the generosity of the foundation, Miami Foundation.
Absolutely.
Mr. Spano,
Yes.
Dunaway,
Yes.
Dahl,
Yes.
Heatherly,
Yes.
Venters.
Yes, that motion is approved.
Item T, recommend approval to accept a $4,150 donation from the Dunaway Family Foundation for the following items: $3,400 for Tipp High School Honor Wall and $750 for Inferno.
I'll move.
Second? Moved and seconded, Corinne and myself. Any discussion?
Appreciate the generosity of the Dunaway Family Foundation, and I understand that they are working on the honor wall this week.
Oh, it's
Yeah, that is exciting.
so excited. It's
Yeah.
been 2 years. Hey, thank you for that, because there was you championed this. It was a great idea, and you had a lot of help from the Tipp City Library, the Historical Society
Historical
of
Society played a
Troy,
big role. Yeah.
and a lot of students volunteered.
Mm-hmm.
It was really, they were excited.
They compiled
So cool.
a pretty
Yeah.
lengthy list of names going all the way back to the late 1800s of Tipp alums who have served in the military.
So that will be awesome. And you think it will be in place for
Should be in place for
graduation?
graduation.
Yeah.
Yep.
That would be so nice.
So take that 2-year project and check it off your list.
Yeah, right.
I want to thank also for the Inferno support. Inferno is a great piece in our district, and they just had their night read just last week. It was amazing.
Okay,
Dahl,
Yes.
Ventures?
Yes.
Dunaway?
Yes.
Heatherly?
Yes.
Spano?
Yes.
All right, that motion is approved.
Item U, recommend approval of the following tuition students as per the agenda.
So moved.
Second?
Moved and seconded, Sam and Teresa. Hearing no discussion? Ready for a vote?
Spano?
Yes.
Dunaway?
Yes.
Dahl?
Yes.
Heatherly?
Yes.
Ventures?
Yes. That motion is approved.
Item V, as soon as it pops up. There we go. Recommend adoption of the student fee schedule for the 2019-2020 school year.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded, Teresa and Joella. Any discussion? Hearing none?
Dunaway?
Yes.
Heatherly?
Yes.
Dahl?
Yes.
Spano?
Yes.
Ventures?
Yes. That motion is approved.
Item W, recommend approval of the pay-to-play fee schedule for the 2019-2020 school year.
So moved.
Second?
Moved and seconded, Sam and Teresa. Any discussion? Hearing none?
Spano?
Yes.
Dunaway?
Yes.
Dahl?
Yes.
Heatherly?
Yes.
Ventures?
Yes. That motion is approved.
Item X, recommend approval of the 2019-2020 elementary, middle, and high school student handbooks.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Moved and seconded, Joella and Sam. Any discussion?
Yeah, I'm just not a fan of middle schoolers using their cell phones during the day at all. I just don't think you can control it, and when we're dealing with mental health, and research tells us that it stresses out our students and it negatively impacts their day. I'm not sure that, well, I am certain that school is not a place where we allow them to make the choice of having it and getting on it. You know, just like at home with our kids, and we say, okay, you have to put it away now. It's 8 o'clock, and we're gonna put our cell phones and we're gonna put our electronic devices away, and we're just gonna be together as a family. I think we deserve, our students deserve it, our families deserve it, if we provide that safe space for our students as well. And I'm not really sure what the driving force was behind, if we just thought, okay, students are gonna bring it, let's lean into it,
Right.
let's let them have cell phones for a certain portion of the day. And we were trying to embrace that approach. I don't know why we did it, and I
Well-
don't think we should continue it.
But this is just the approval of the book.
It's in there.
Well, I know, but it's not of the policy itself. I mean, we're just approving the book, but
Right, it's in there.
I know.
And I think it needs to be in
I
there.
get that.
So that's what I'm saying, is that,
But if that's the policy, it should be in the book. But if we want to
Right.
revisit the policy, then I'm
So-
just saying this isn't the motion.
To Corinne's point,
Yeah.
maybe like work session or something, we could
Yeah,
talk about
right,
it
Exactly.
before next year, right? Add it to the
right,
list.
right, just, that, you know, if
Right.
we're talking about
It's something to
student wealth and-
revisit, it's something to
And
revisit.
this is an easy way to address
Well,
mental
wellness,
health
Yeah.
and wellness, right?
Have all policies and mandates from the state been absorbed into the handbook?
Yes, there was actually a work session with the administrative team that we sat down, and there are several things that just, once again, aligning with some of the state needs, to make sure that we have that across K through 12.
Thank you.
All right. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none.
Heatherly?
Yes.
Spano?
Yes.
Dahl?
Yes,
Dunaway?
Yes.
Ventures?
Yes, that motion is approved.
Item Y, recommend approval of adoption of curriculum materials for K-12 science to be implemented for the 2019-2020 school year.
I'll move.
Second.
Moved and seconded, Corinne and Teresa. Any discussion? All right.
Dahl?
Yes,
Dunaway?
Yes.
Heatherly?
Yes.
Spano?
Yes.
Ventures?
Yes, that motion is approved.
Thank you.
A lot of work goes into that. Item Z, oh, did we say that it approved?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Motion.
Okay. Item Z, recommend approval to partner with New Creations Counseling Center, Tipp City, Ohio, as a preferred mental health agency for the 2019-2020 school year at a cost of $45,200. The agreement is attached.
I'll move.
Second.
Moved and seconded, Joellen and Sam. Any discussion?
I have a question.
Yes?
Okay, do you think, are they part of, I Googled this, I couldn't find anything. Are they under the United Way umbrella? Because did you see at the bottom of the contract, it said United Way? Is that weird?
I don't know that, but I do know that they do have some funding sources that help support them. That's why their rate is, they're able to provide that kind of rate and support for those that are unable to pay or,
Yeah.
mhm.
Is that a problem?
No, I just thought it was weird, like I didn't, it was just on the bottom of the page, I thought it was kind of a weird,
I can find out and just let you know.
I was just
mean,
Googling that.
Pretty confident that they receive United Way funds.
Mhm.
I know that they apply for different,
Yeah.
I'll call it grant opportunities.
Yeah, I
to
mean, I'm
help
happy for them, it
people.
was
Yeah.
just a weird thing to put on the bottom of a contract, I thought.
That might be a condition of getting United Way funds.
Yeah, I don't know. I Googled and there's no information.
So are we capped at 45, 200 a year, what we're gonna pay?
For the, unless we do additional services, like they also do, professional development, additional professional development, and some things, unless we choose things that are of that nature, that are not
But this is for counseling K-12,
K-12, and that's 40, yeah, and that's 4 days a week.
and that's 4 days a week, and that will address the needs we anticipate of our students.
Definitely during this transition here, from what's projected and what we anticipate that would be expanding from that.
And there, just because I've been in 2 districts where we do this, so I just have to speak
Right.
my teacher mind. It was constant at the door knocking, is this a good time, is this a good time? I mean, it was very disruptive.
Ah.
It was not new creation, I will say that, it
Right.
was 2 totally different entities. But it was not, and just because they weren't really ever absorbed into our staff, and they rotated a lot, like we didn't know who they were gonna be, who they were sending.
So that was one of the things when we did our interviewing with all the agents that we talked to, that was important to us as a district. We need the same person so that we become familiar with their face, they become familiar with us, and that we do want them to be a face as among the staff for our students and among our staff as well. So they are assigning and selecting a person that it will be the tip person that will come,
Okay.
yes.
And then, does it say how they're gonna communicate, like when they provide services? Are they gonna talk with teachers about when is a good time to come and get this kid, you know, least disruptive to their academic day?
That's some
think
of
that-
the procedures that we've talked about that need to be developed. Procedures that,
That's gonna fall on.
Right.
So they don't have a program already in place that they're gonna bring and like kind of put down?
We've talked with them, at least at the high school level, that we would want to utilize study hall,
Yeah.
lunches, not academic class time.
Uh-huh. And I think there's more of that at the high school level than there is at the elementary level. Usually it's just specials aren't an academic period. They don't have like study hall.
Right, right. So once again, and it is hard for young ones, to their lunch period, but they do have a lunch recess, which is the longest recess. There are timeframes, and you're right, they do have the related arts, whether they be going to the library or, yeah.
Well, thank you to Mr. Verhoff, because, I mean, you're championing this extra work, this, you know what I'm saying, you're gonna be basically the quarterback. So more responsibility to you, and I appreciate the fact that you see the need for this in our district, and, you know, you've been working on this since, I would say, what, early fall, probably? Probably since, you probably had it in your brain since you got here, but, you know, you and your staff have, you know, done a good job with this.
Counselors have done a great job
Yes.
in really vetting these programs.
Yeah.
And just to add to your, answer your question further, there will be a point person at each of the buildings. So obviously at the lower levels, that's going to be Mrs. Grass, that's going to be Mr. Elliott, and they'll coordinate with those counselors as to when are good times to go into those classrooms. We're very cognizant of that and do not want to pull kids away from academic time. That just compounds the situation.
Right.
and I imagine that you'll be creating or replicating some outcome measures to try to answer that question, which is, will this address, you know, our
And
mental
maybe a
wellness
survey to
needs?
teachers at the end of the year, what worked well this past year, what could we improve with?
Yes.
Or what
It's a real
other
simple one.
data points would you be looking at? Referrals, if the number of referrals come in, follow-up on referrals, has it had an impact on Discipline, all of those things, I'm sure you're gonna look at those and put those in place and start
Oh,
measuring
yeah.
them from the get-go.
You're good at surveys. I mean, that is something you're good at, that's, you know, your data and your, I appreciate that as a parent, I really appreciate that.
Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none.
Heatherly,
Yes.
Spano,
Yes.
Dahl,
Yes.
Dunaway.
Yes.
Ventures.
Yes, that motion is approved.
Item AA, recommend approval to train and implement the Hope Squad program during the 2019-2020 school year.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Moved and seconded, Joellen and Sam, any discussion?
This would be for the high school. This is at the high school level. And this builds off the aspect of having a therapist in the school district as well.
All right. Hearing no discussion, Dave, we're ready for a vote.
Heatherly,
Yes.
Spano,
Yes.
Dahl,
It's hard.
It is hard. Yes.
Dunaway,
Yes.
Ventures.
Yes, that motion is approved.
Item BB, school lunch, this is school van. Recommend approval for the Tipp City Community Services to use a school van for the summer Lunch on Us program. Dates of use will be June 3rd through August 16th, 2019.
I'll move.
Second.
Moved and seconded, Corinne and Teresa. Any discussion?
It's a great program.
It is a great program.
She does such a great job. She's so passionate about it.
Yes, we have several of our
She's so-
kitchen
they're both
staff that
passionate.
actually help and assist with this over the summer. And I'll just put that out there. We are the first week, starting June 3rd, the board office and administrative team, so.
Oh, we're up first this year?
Yes, we're up first, so
All right.
I'll send it, and I'll have Carrie send an email so that you can let her know if you're available to do one of the lunch days to help.
Okay, I think we're ready for a vote, Dave?
Man, it's a good thing I can type. Mrs. Dahl,
Yes.
Dunaway.
Yes.
Heatherly,
Yes.
Spano,
Yes.
Ventures.
Yes. That motion is approved.
Item CC, recommend approval of Jeannie Fairbanks as the concession stand coordinator for the 2019 track season.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded, Joellen and Corinne. Any discussion?
Is there a reason this wasn't on the then and now, or should it be?
We haven't paid her yet.
So next month?
This should have been approved in January or February. This was not brought to our attention until now. And also note that this is, should we pay $800 out of the high school track fundraising?
Yeah, it says fundraising account.
All right.
So
It's good that, like, track people forget to tell you, like, who normally tells you about this?
Athletic department.
So it sounds isolated.
Yes.
It's an isolated issue.
All right, we're ready for a vote?
Did we do a first and a second?
Yes.
I missed that.
Joellen and Sam?
No, who seconded?
I
It might have been-
second a lot of stuff.
Might have been
It could have
Corinne.
been
I was
me.
first.
I think
Go
it
ahead
was
and put me
Joellen.
down for that.
Okay.
I'll tell you what,
We'll call it now. Joellen.
Pick, just pick
the
someone.
video will fix it if it was wrong.
All
Or
right.
just pick some. Who watches the
I know I was
videos?
first.
Who watches
Mrs.
those
Heatherly.
things?
Yes.
Mrs. Dahl,
Yes.
Mrs. Dunaway.
Yes.
Spano,
Yes.
Ventures.
Yes,
Check the camera.
Motion.
motion's approved. Huh?
Item DD, recommend approval authorizing the initiation of the selection process for a firm for the Tipp City Schools to conduct a research survey that will provide direction and insight on facility needs and community support.
Any motion?
So moved.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded, Sam and Corinne. Any discussion?
This is just
Just to go
researching, right?
investigate it.
Yeah, and
Okay,
then we'll
you
give
come
you
back
back
with
some numbers,
prices and
yes.
all that, okay.
A recommendation, yeah.
When do you think we'll get some feedback on that?
Well,
At
we
the
need
work
to
session?
conduct this in
Probably
the
listening to
summer,
that.
yeah.
Maybe add it to the agenda for our work session.
You need
Should
to
be
actually
part of
have
that
it done by then, if you want your information for the fall. You have to tie it into Dave's dates.
And right now, the soonest we could, based on our meeting schedule, the soonest we could approve hiring somebody is probably gonna be at the work session, so.
Maybe we'll get some information on it from
If we
Board
need
of
to,
Ed.
I mean, is it one of those expenses that make it a superintendent can,
If it's over $10,000 for a purchase service, that's a board approved item.
is it still 10?
10 is just for board approval,
Okay.
50,000 for bidding
Ah, I got
purposes.
you, okay.
I hope it's not over 10.
Yeah, I mean, if it's,
If it's not, great, if it is.
That's a lot.
all right, fair enough. Okay, ready for a vote? Ready?
Spano,
Yes.
Dahl,
Yes.
Dunaway,
Yes.
Heatherly,
Yes.
Ventures.
Yes, that motion is approved.
Item EE, recommend approval of the following resident educator mentor update for the 2018-19 school year, as per the agenda.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded, Teresa and Corinne, any discussion? Hearing none?
Dunaway,
Yes.
Dahl,
Yes.
Heatherly,
Yes.
Spano,
Yes.
Ventures.
Yes, that motion is approved. Okay, moving on to miscellaneous upcoming meetings. Commencement for the class of 2019 will take place Saturday evening, May 25th at 7 p.m. at the gym at the high school. Next regular Board of Education meeting will be Monday, June 24th, 2019 at the board office at 6 p.m. There may be, I guess it's still tentative, but there may be a work session on June 12th,
Yes.
pending some other schedules. So,
Correct.
all right. Okay, next item on the agenda is the executive session. Need a motion to adjourn to executive session for purposes authorized under Board of Education Policy 0166 and ORC 12122G1. Consider the employment compensation of public employee or official, and that's now ×2 based on that earlier action. Do we have any motion for that?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded, Teresa and Corinne. Ready for a vote?
Dunaway,
Yes.
Dahl,
Yes.
Heatherly,
Yes.
Spano,
Yes.
Ventures.
Yes. And so we're all moving into executive session.
Are you gonna stay here?
In terms of, yeah, do anticipate action.
Did you get your paper signed?
Session.
Let me turn the meeting back on.
Do we need a motion to reconsider, or how are we gonna deal with
We're
this?
going to amend the motion, right?
Well,
Well,
just
we
put it
already
on.
voted that one down, so we got,
Yeah, we need a motion.
I know what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna read each,
Yeah.
read that, and then I'm gonna
we
read
need a
that.
way to get this back on the
Right.
table.
We need a motion to amend the agenda, I think, to add,
15.
I don't know, I was looking this up
These
earlier,
items.
how you can bring something back to the table.
it's a different motion. I mean, it's not the identical motion.
Right,
Right.
so,
So,
Right, I'm just going to have this one, and then we're gonna have a motion, a motion, a motion, a motion, a motion. It'll be the same thing, just with the name changed.
okay. So we need to, I think, amend the agenda to add an item as described by Mr. Stevens, which will be composed of 15 separate motions, correct?
so I think it's a
Plus
motion
16
to
if you wanna add.
reconsider.
Yeah, motion to reconsider.
Okay. Motion to reconsider the names.
The stage
Motion to
crafters.
reconsider the names for the 2019 summer stage crafters
Oh, yeah, we
program.
already did.
913.
Yeah, 9/13 is when we came out.
The stage crafters, yeah, approve, yeah. And so, motion to reconsider the names for the 2019 summer stage crafters program.
Okay.
That's our motion.
All right.
Oh, I need to
I'll
write
make
that
that
down.
motion.
Spano?
I'll second. Moved and second to reconsider the names.
Take the vote. Mr. Spano?
Yes.
Venters?
Yes.
Dahl?
Yes.
Dunaway? Heatherly? Dunaway?
Yes,
I'm going too fast.
you're all
Heatherly.
right, yes.
Okay. So we save that one. Now I add a motion.
Yes, this is the part I need to write down because I need to say it.
Yes. It's
It's a-
approval
Uh-huh.
of the following staff
Mm-hmm.
for the 2019 Summer Stagecrafters Program.
By name.
Our first person
Okay.
is Claire Heatherly for $700 as the Assistant Camp Director.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second. Moved and seconded. Sam and myself. Ready for a vote?
Spano?
Yes.
Venters?
Yes.
Dahl?
Abstain.
Dunaway?
Abstain?
Heatherly?
Abstain.
Okay, so that motion fails.
Yes.
Do I say call this item 2? How do we name, number these?
Yeah, just call it motion 3.
Motion 3, approval of the following staff for the 2019 Summer Stagecrafters Program. Amanda Hughes, Music Director.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, myself and Sam. Any discussion? Hearing none?
Venters?
Yes.
Spano?
Yes.
Dahl?
Yes.
Dunaway?
Yes?
Heatherly?
Yes.
That motion is approved.
Motion 4, approval of the following staff for the 2019 Summer Stagecrafter Program. Jessica Jankel, Technical and Scenic.
So moved.
Second?
Moved and seconded, Sam and Teresa. Any discussion?
Should I be announcing the amount?
I
No, we
would.
never do.
An amount of 500, because these are different,
These aren't per the agenda.
at the amount of 500.
Okay.
May I let the record indicate Amanda Hughes was 500?
Okay. Discussion?
Nope, hearing none.
Spano?
Yes.
Dunaway?
Yes?
Dahl?
Yes.
Heatherly?
Yes.
Venters?
Yes. That motion is approved.
Item 5, motion 5, approval of the following staff for the 2019 Summer Stagecrafter Program. Cole Hugh, $300, choreographer.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Moved and seconded, Teresa and Corinne. Hearing no discussion?
Dunaway?
Yes?
Dahl?
Yes.
Heatherly?
Yes.
Spano?
Yes.
Venters?
Yes. That motion is approved.
Motion 6, approval of the following staff for the 2019 Summer Stagecrafters Program. Alec Group, $230, junior assistant.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Moved and seconded, myself and Sam. Any discussion? Hearing none?
Venters?
Yes.
Spano?
Yes.
Dahl?
Yes.
Dunaway?
No.
Heatherly?
Yes.
That motion's approved.
Approval of the following staff for the 2019 Summer Stagecrafter Program. Jackson Hoddle, $250, junior assistant. That's motion 7.
I'll make the motion.
Second?
Moved and seconded, Sam and Teresa. Any discussion? Hearing none.
Spano?
Yes.
Dunaway?
Yes.
Dahl?
Yes.
Heatherly?
Yes.
Venters?
Yes. That motion is approved.
Motion 8, approval of the following staff for the 2019 Summer Stagecrafter Program. Lena Baez, $240, junior assistant.
So moved.
Second?
Moved and seconded, Sam and Teresa. Hearing no discussion, ready for a vote?
Spano,
Yes.
Dunaway,
Yes.
Dahl,
Yes.
Heatherly,
Yes.
Ventures.
Yes, that motion is approved.
Motion 9, approval of the following staff for the 2019 Summer Stage Crafter Program. Melanie Dodson, $190 as counselor.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Moved and seconded, Teresa and Sam.
Dunaway,
Yes.
Spano,
Yes.
Dahl,
Yes.
Heatherly,
Yes.
Ventures.
Yes, that motion is approved.
Motion 10, approval of the following staff for the 2019 Summer Stage Crafter Program. Savannah Foster, $200 as counselor.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Moved and seconded, Teresa and Sam.
Dunaway,
Discussion.
Yes.
Spano,
Yes.
Dahl,
Yes.
Heatherly,
Yes.
Ventures.
Yes, that motion is approved.
Motion 11, approval of the following staff for the 2019 Summer Stage Crafter Program. Olivia Hamilton, $180 as counselor.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Moved and seconded, Teresa and Sam. Hearing no discussion.
Dunaway,
Yes.
Spano,
Yes.
Dahl,
Yes.
Heatherly,
Yes.
Ventures.
Yes, that motion is approved.
Motion 12, approval of the following staff for the 2019 Summer Stagecrafter Program. Grant Heatherly, $200 as counselor.
So moved.
Second. Moved and seconded, Sam and myself. Hearing no discussion?
Spano,
Yes.
Ventures,
Yes.
Dahl,
Abstain.
Dunaway,
No.
Heatherly.
Abstain.
Okay, that motion fails.
Motion 13, approval of the following staff for the 2019 Summer Stagecrafter Program. Annie Livesey, $160 as counselor.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Moved and seconded, Teresa and Corinne. Hearing no discussion?
Dunaway,
Yes.
Dahl,
Yes.
Heatherly,
Yes.
Spano,
Yes.
Ventures.
Yes, that motion is approved.
Motion 14, approval of the following staff for the 2019 Summer Stagecrafter Program. Michael Morgan, $190 as counselor. Excuse me, it's Michelle. Excuse me.
Michelle.
It's been a long
I'm so
day.
sorry,
Don't
Michelle
worry.
Morgan.
I didn't get it either. I'll make the motion.
Second.
Moved and seconded, Teresa and Sam. Hearing no discussion.
Dunaway,
Yes.
Spano,
Yes.
Dahl,
Yes.
Heatherly,
Yes.
Ventures.
Yes, that motion is approved.
I like this one name thing.
Oh, I do too. I love it.
Motion 15, approval of the following staff for the 2019 Summer Stagecrafter Program. Logan Oski, $200 counselor.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Moved and seconded, Teresa and Sam. Hearing no discussion.
Dunaway,
Yes.
Spano,
Yes.
Dahl,
Yes.
Heatherly,
Yes.
Ventures.
Yes, that motion is approved.
Item, motion 16, approval of the following staff for the 2019 Summer Stagecrafter Program. Rebecca Ross at $200 as a counselor.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, Sam and Teresa. Hearing no discussion.
Spano,
Yes.
Dunaway,
Yes.
Dahl,
Yes.
Heatherly,
Yes.
Ventures.
Yes, that motion is approved.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Or is it, do you have to do your miscellaneous?
He did it before.
Already did.
Oh, you did
Yeah.
before, oh, good.
What?
What just happened?
You motion to adjourn.
Moved and seconded to adjourn.
Discuss it.
Any
Good
discussion?
idea.
Give me one second.
You moved, she second.
And Corinne second.
I'm gonna put all these in. This one not taking it. always get it from the video.
Well, oh, no, just ask what you need. The
Well,
motion
I've
you
got
seconded.
16 items on here, and one of them still shows.
That's weird.
Okay, let me move forward. So what was that vote again? Or first and second?
Spano Dahl.
Yes.
Spano, Dahl, okay, Spano, voting,
Yes.
Dahl,
Yes.
Dunaway.
Yes.
Heatherly, Venters.
Yes. Okay, we're adjourned.